thoughts, views, and comments expressed by the hosts, guests, and callers on Beyond the Headlines are not necessarily those of management, ownership, or production unit of the Verizon Media Group. Beyond the Headlines is a production of ILTV Studios and cannot be reproduced or represented in part or entirety without express written permission of the Verizon Media Group. Beyond the Headlines is the intellectual property of the Verizon Media Group. Copyright 2021.
Coming up tonight, industrial action prominent today, especially on the education front. University of Bahamas professors and BTVI staff protesting to get outstanding matters addressed. Meanwhile, Ministry of Health workers took to the pavement today. They say working conditions at the ministry's headquarters are unsafe and they're not prepared to work. Also tonight, did you hear of the two pilots who fought in the cockpit? And it seems it spilled out of the cockpit because passengers captured an image. You all saw it on social media. We'll tell you what Bahamas Air did in response. That's right, it's Bahamas Air flight. Pressure tall, I tell you that. Ain't nobody need to see that in the air, that's for sure. This is Beyond the Headlines. Good evening. I'm Shanique Miller. It's great to have you along this evening. The Union of Tertiary Educators of the Bahamas is turning up the pressure on the University of the Bahamas, calling on UB leadership to immediately honor agreements made with faculty members. Well, today's protest followed weeks of talks that went nowhere. Joining me this evening is the president of the Union of Tertiary Educators of the Bahamas, Daniel Thompson. And Mr. Thompson, good evening to you. It's good to have you here. I understand that it's good news. You are just actually from out of a meeting and things have turned very quickly. Good evening and welcome to Beyond the Headlines.
Good evening. Good evening, Smilla. Yes, so we just came out of 3 hours of deliberations and negotiations with the president of the university, Dr. Blaine. And as a result of that meeting, the outstanding matters that we were very concerned about all were addressed. And in fact, while I was waiting here, my phone was beeping because the letters were going out to our members. Mm-hmm. And so that is good news in that regard. Very good news, especially as we begin the semester. This is actually our second week at the university, and we needed things to really normalize.
Very quickly.
Yes.
Because the issue that had just built to this point were where professors found themselves with less classes and students would have been complaining and having issues because of the qualifications, which you say it's a real difficult matter to understand, so we would not necessarily go in there in that direction.
Yeah, it's a matter of alignment, and you add to that we have our largest enrollment ever. 2,000 freshmen came in, so that really complicated the problem in terms of needing additional classrooms, needing additional faculty to teach those classes for first-year students.
Now, are Bahamian professors credentialed? I know that was a part of it, and is the university, first question maybe, is it fully credentialed?
Well, as the university seeks accreditation through the SACS accreditation system, it is a different approach to our credential than we have had in the past. Their approach is more narrow rather than broad. In other words, you may have been credentialed in an area in biology or in English to teach perhaps English language and literature or a variety of areas in that. But now with the credentialing, they're saying that you're restricted only to teach English, or you can only teach business management as opposed to marketing or other management classes. So it's really a more restrictive form of alignment. So you're trying to align persons' academic qualification more specifically.
Does that help the university further though in meeting where it's trying to go? I mean, how does that, because obviously it's putting a squeeze on staff and maybe squeezing them out of certain areas that they've been in. But what does it benefit the
Well,
overall university and sort of getting lessons done and these degrees that are to be transferred and accepted elsewhere?
Yes, because our faculty consists of very qualified individuals who have attended the best institutions in the world. And most of them are terminally degreed, but at least have a master's degree. It is very easy in those cases to, if you have to re-credential them or align them, you can align them to their specific discipline. So it's not an issue of the quality of their credentials. It's a matter of the specificity, making it very specific. I would quote me as an example. I'm an agricultural economist, having been educated at the University of Reading in the United Kingdom. And so while my background and experience has been in management, having led many organizations in the past, yet because my credential is in agri-economics, I have been restricted to teach economics classes. That's the type of thing. Previously, I would have been able to, based on my experience, teach other management classes because I was involved in project development, small business management, working at the development bank, BAIC. I was able to teach in management classes. Now with this re-credentialing, they're saying that you must restrict your teaching only to economics.
But doesn't that rob the university and the students of a more broader experience? Because after all, that is what university is about. It's about having this wonderful, vast knowledge in your classes to single you and put you in where you are actually degreed versus where your experience and your degree could further take you to bring more enrichment and cause to bring about critical thinking and thought. Isn't the university robbing the student of that full experience?
Yes, I would agree, because even with the SACS accreditation process, experience, other licensures are also important components in credentialing persons. Okay, and so when you take someone with a master's degree in management versus someone who has been a CEO of a major organization in the Bahamas for 15 years, and you bring someone who got an MBA last year, you're looking at two different experience for our students.
Yes.
And we are hoping that the university will come back to those, including experiences and other certifications in the credentialing process. But what they're saying is that at this point is that you must first have the master's, and then we will look at the experiences.
So this is not a situation where our professors, meaning Bahamian professors, are falling down and are not meeting up to the standard. It's just the sort of realigning
It's the
that
realigning.
the university is going through.
Our persons are the best institutions. We have always hired the best, the brightest, not just Bahamians, but also foreign expatriate faculty. Very qualified, very competent. A lot of them have, I said, terminal degrees, some with two, three master's degrees. Very competent persons we're dealing with. So it's not a matter of quality of the deliverables that is there. It's simply we're realigning you to focus. Now, there's another side to that, because as you become more specific in your realignment, it means that where you would have had one professor teaching in two or three disciplines, you now have three professors.
Yeah.
And then it means that each of them are very restricted in what they teach. So perhaps our faculty complement may have to be doubled over the next few years.
Absolutely.
Now, that's good news for UTEB, of course,
It is.
because that's more membership in UTEB.
Yes.
But does the university and does the government have the appetite to double UB's budget? Those are the questions that we must answer as a people, because of the implication as we be very more restrictive in our alignment process.
And again, you at the risk of robbing the student of that full experience in each class, I feel as though it's cheapening the process, because that's what university is all about. You go to have this wonderful experience where you go in this class and you actually learn more than you bargained for in terms of what that class actually is. It always is that. It gives the opportunity for that student to really see the world through what is being taught by that professor.
The experience of the professors, their experience is critical. In fact, when the university went about trying to tighten up their belt, so to speak, I use the expression, they didn't just remove the fat, they remove a lot of the meat with the fat. And so in doing that, they are robbing our students of having persons with real industry experience. But and because it happens in the U.S., at other SACS accredited institutions, professors teach based on their experience. And that was our process when we engaged the process a year ago. But the university did a change so that no longer they're doing that, because they are trying to create a really tight system to ensure they're successful in this accreditation process.
How long does an accreditation process take? Because we've been hearing about, first of all, the name was, you all got that name quite a minute ago now, and we figured everything was done. I mean, it's a full-out university, it's accredited, everything, but yet we now understand the accreditation process is ongoing.
Yes, and sometimes 5, 6, 10 years it can take for the entire process, and then it's always renewed. Every 5 or 10 years, there are renewal process. But UTEB's position is that the decision for accreditation is not a trade union matter. It's a matter that executives of the institution, the policymakers at the institutions make. UTEB's position is that when you engage in accreditation, we must ensure that any policies, any conditions you sign on to are consistent with our industrial agreement.
Yes. Now, also today, another tertiary education system, the Bahamas Vocational Technical Institute, BTVI, also protested. Members of these ones were members of the Bahamas Union of Auxiliary Professionals in Education at the Bahamas Technical and Vocational Institute. They say that they have been feeling disenfranchised. This according to President Ernesto Williams, who claims employees have been granted contract extensions instead of being made permanent. BTVI seem to be going through a lot recently. Williams says this is much owed to the union and they will not stand for anything else.
So
several of our employees have continued to serve the institution, have given their service in years, 5, 7, 10, 15 years of service, and the institution has continued to offer them contracts. We would have recently come into agreement in an industrial agreement from 2022, which would have had provisions for our members after they have passed 1 year maximum probationary period with satisfactory performance. They were to be automatically made permanent and pensionable, and the institution stood against that. They went so far as to seek legal intervention in means to give a different interpretation of what that could be. They went even so far again to go behind our backs to our members, offering letters saying that they would offer 1 year, 2 year, 3 year contracts, after we specifically told them in official communications and at the table of discussion that you will not give us what we're asking for, you will give us what we've deserved. The matter has to be corrected. It has to be corrected. There's more that we as the union are purposed to do, but the matter has to be corrected with swiftness. With swiftness. Executive leadership at the institution, the work that they're doing against employees has to stop immediately. And I'm not asking. It is a waste of money. It is a waste of money. It is a waste of what I would deem to be an investment into Bahamian people. And so it has to stop. And it is a clear warning, it is a clear sign, this is a clear sign to individuals who are standing against the progression of Bahamians in this country. We will not allow it.
Williams, president of the union at BTVI, joining you, in fact, today on the Union of University of the Bahamas, talking about initially the fact that many people who have put in years at BTVI are being put or asked to or being rerouted to contracts.
You're aware that BTVI also is represented by UTEB as well. We represent the faculty. Ernesto and BUAP represent the staff, and that's why we stood together.
Okay.
And what is happening to BUAP is also happening to our members. And it's so unfortunate that organizations would engage in trying to stop workers from being permanent. Permanent and establishment positions are important for going to the bank. If you have a 2-year contract, you can't get no loan to get a car. So these
your life can't move forward.
Yes, and so and then our industrial agreement states that people would be made permanent. And it's really unfortunate the board of directors they have engaged in violating the industrial agreement of both BUAP and BTVI.
Well, has the union met and spoken with the board to let them know that, listen, this isn't the way life is done. It isn't bring about quality of life for those workers and professors at BTVI, and that the persons need, as you said, armed with everything they need as they work daily, then they need what is necessary to move their lives forward, which is permanent and pensionable, which is obviously being positioned in a way that they can go to financial institutions and so on.
We have been talking for over a year. We had given the board a time frame which expired from January. We have been back and forth, and even up to last week, we wrote to the president and said we wish to talk. She said she's busy trying to get school started and she can't.
This president has seemed very resistant for quite some time now. There's been one and in fact numerous protests against her. What is happening there? Is she the stumbling block?
She is one of the stumbling blocks, but I opine that many persons have not gotten the memo from the government in terms of the government's attitude towards workers. But if the government becomes complicit, if they allow her to remain to stifle workers.
But why do you suppose she's being allowed to remain? Because again, this is not the first protest. While this one was pointedly directed in the way of saying, listen, take these people off of contracts and make them permanent employees, the point is, though, there's always been a finger pointing at this president.
Yes, and the time of her departure is near, but it's not soon enough.
You feel as though that then things will kind of operate at BTVI the way they should?
I think that there is, sometimes you know the devil you have, but you don't know what you may get. I understand that, but this one needs to move because it's the callous attitude towards workers and the disregard towards Bahamian workers is not acceptable.
No, I agree with you. It quite is very, very much unacceptable.
And that's all the workers, That's all the students were coming too. That's all the.
Well, no. If the students join in, the professors and the support staff and the workers and everybody else, then obviously that you all must shine a microscope or put the microscope on the president.
But this has been shining for a long time, for the last year.
Who is ignoring it?
Those who have the power to make the difference.
The Ministry of Education?
Yes, the Ministry of Education ignoring. She has a board of directors in the first instance.
So why is the board ignoring what people have been screaming now for the longest while? The president is the issue. The president is the issue, and then the board. Because if you all can't do what you're all supposed to do, then all of you are ill-placed.
Well, that's your comment. I perhaps may agree with you, but that.
That's my comment. It's just, we've seen several, in fact, that's putting it very conservatively, protests as it relates to BTVI and any number of issues happening there. But, we will continue to follow this. Happy that you all got your situation sorted out at the University of the Bahamas. Absolutely. Yeah, thank you very much for sharing that with us. I just came out of hours-long meeting, and he just said that at the top of tonight's show. University of the Bahamas got their situation sorted out. Now, BTVI is another matter. We will continue to follow that. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much,
Absolutely, Mr. Thompson. Thank you very much, Mr. President, for being here this evening. When we come back, did you hear of the fight on Bahamas Air? Not 2 passengers. No. 2 pilots. That's exactly, you heard me right. We're backward after this.
Cancer Treatment Centers of America is now City of Hope, creating one of the leading cancer care and research networks from coast to coast, providing more of what you need. More locations means more care closer to home. More specialists means more expertise. More research means more breakthroughs. More advancements means more treatment options. And more options means more hope. Call now to get more of the care you need.
You work hard to provide for and protect the ones you love. However, life can present unexpected challenges. Who you call in times of need matters. Insurance Management is a Bahamian-owned company that has been serving our community for over 40 years, offering a wide range of coverage for all of your personal, professional, and commercial needs. When life happens, rest easy knowing that our skilled and experienced agents are there for you in your time of need, so that you can get back to what matters most. Insurance Management. Nobody does it better.
This year marks a milestone. The OWN Foundation is celebrating 10 years of impact, innovation, and inspiration. Join us for OWN Talks, September 12th at the Atlantis Resort, Paradise Island at 7 p.m. for a transformative experience under the theme, Activate. Taking the stage are world-renowned leaders and visionaries. Sebastian Bastian, visionary entrepreneur, philanthropist, and CEO of Island Luck and Weiss Technology Group. Barbara Corcoran, legendary real estate mogul, entrepreneur, investor, and star of Shark Tank. Vusi Tembekwayo, global business strategist, venture capitalist, and one of Africa's most influential thought leaders. Be part of this unforgettable evening as the OWN Foundation celebrates a decade of purpose and progress. And together, we activate the future.
Edenwell has expanded their testing menu. We now offer blood work, drug screening, and so much more. Our hours of operation are Monday to Friday, 7 a.m. to 5 p.m., and Saturday, 8 a.m. to 1 p.m., located on 11 Madera Street. We are here for all of your laboratory needs, with fast and reliable lab work done by our friendly and knowledgeable staff. Let us help you take the needed steps to stay in the know about your health. Let's keep working towards a healthier you. Stay Eden well.
Welcome back to Beyond the Headlines. A photo circulating on social media alleges that two pilots were involved in a physical altercation inside the cockpit of a Bahamas Air flight while passengers were still on board that aircraft. Bahamas Air has since issued a statement to address the claims and clarify the situation. The airline says that during a pre-departure procedure at Marsh Harbor Airport, a situation arose involving the flight crew. According to Bahamas Air, the issue was promptly addressed and the crew members involved were replaced before the flight took off. The airline emphasized its commitment to safety and professionalism, stressing that these kinds of matters are handled swiftly to ensure that customer well-being remains a priority. Well, we're going to jump in right there this evening. Why not start right there? Welcome to Beyond the Headlines. BTH contributors Candice Scott and Glenroy Pratt. Peggy, Candice, and Glenroy Pratt, it's good to have you both here. Good evening to both of you.
Good evening, Shanique. Good to be here.
Good evening, Shanique. Good evening, Bahamas.
Your thoughts, Peggy and Glenroy, about, I mean, obviously, Bahamas Air must be a real stressful place to work when you have pilots whose job it is, a part of it is to remain calm and exhibit this manner of professionalism and that they can come to fists. I mean, they just can come to blows with each other. Over what? What could have been that serious on the job and getting ready to go in the air?
We don't just fly here. We fight here too. You know, I mean, at least they fighting online. But you know, to make it serious note though, I'm glad they didn't fight in the air though. Could you imagine if things have gotten out of control out when they were in the air? You know, I mean. And tempers sometimes fly high, and you know the young people say pressure talk. You know?
I was wondering if pressure was real. Obviously, it was. You know.
Yeah, we gotta really, you know, we do have. I don't know if you ever ride around and look at people's faces and look at the temperature in this
country. It's an angry people society. Angry. And that is so off-putting to Bahamians, for this nation. And what we once in the 80s were known as the most friendliest nation on earth. with nice, wonderful, kind people. And we have become, I mean, just the opposite. People are angry. I saw just yesterday as I was going to a church, like to visit there, this lady walking in, her face, I mean, her face looked like a thunderstorm. And I was like, but like, why can't we walk around more pleasant?
Yeah.
Shanique, I am glad that it's reported, good evening, Bahamas, that Bahamas had dealt with it immediately, because when you get on a plane, you want to be confident that all is well with the pilots. And this story will make you now question, take a fight today?
Yeah.
Yeah, you know? And so the Bahamian, we talk about them being angry, but human beings, we have so much faith. We just don't know how much. We just put faith sometimes in the wrong things and the wrong people. And so when you step on a plane, you have comfort, you just happy, and there's no concern that the pilots are friendly, that they're getting along, that they're drunk, they're sober, they didn't sleep well, they have a flu, and we don't have these things come to our mind. And now this story, you go on Mom and say, you go wonder what can happen today.
Listen to me, you don't want to even imagine that, because it then goes to say who is being hired. How often are they evaluated? And I just don't mean job performance. I'm talking about mental capacity. Are they okay? Are they angry? Are they having an issue with a coworker? Because this is really unacceptable to be there. And Marsh Harbor, unprofessional. Marsh Harbor is one of those hubs where there are Bahamians and tourists flying in and out. And not that tourists are any more significant than Bahamians, but imagine that reputation. Oh, guess what, guys? We were connecting from Marsh Harbor, Abaco to go to New Providence and further, and the pilots got into a fight. And it delayed the flight, because you know they had to obviously fly other people in to take over the flight. So therefore, that must have been a delay. And just all of this, just putting people out out of their schedules for no reason other than you can't control yourself and you can't control your emotions.
Must have been a nightmare at Bahamas for those managers and those responsible for that airline. But I hope both individuals was fired, because the behavior is totally unacceptable, and the only reassurance you can give your customers is you will never have to contend with these two individuals again.
Ladies and gentlemen, stand by. I have to punch this guy in the mouth. But you know, one of the things is too, I've been to two businesses in the last probably 2 weeks, right? Food establishments. And one, I was on a line ordering my food, and I could hear a few of the workers arguing amongst themselves. And when I reached the window, I say, "Man, I see you all having a rough day. I mean, I could hear you all on this thing. You all sound like things were rough." Then I went to another institution a couple of days later. I mean, the gentleman was rowing the co-workers. He's pissed off, and everybody's just angry. Listen, we have an angry country, and we just need to find ways to express ourselves. This is evident and manifested in all the criminal things that we're seeing when it comes to these violent crimes and things that we are seeing in the country. So we have to find ways to have people manage their temper and find ways to deal with their issues. But right now, we have a challenge in this country.
It's a society that's gone off the rails. And that's an individual thing that we must all look at ourselves daily, really, and just sort of do some introspective work. On ourselves before we face the world. It really is quite disappointing what took place, and again, quite assuring that Bahamas Air stepped in quite quickly, management, and addressed the issue. Meanwhile, I'll tell you where issues need to be addressed at the Ministry of Health on Meeting Street. Industrial action happened there as well today. This time, the government and union officials seem to be on the same page about an issue that is deeply affecting civil workers at an aging government complex now under construction. We get the story from Jose Etienne, and then we come back and talk about it.
Dozens of staffers from the Ministry of Health walking off the job on Monday morning in light of what's being described as poor working conditions worsened by ongoing construction efforts at their Meeting Street complex while workers are on the clock. And Bahamas Public Services Union President Kimsley Ferguson isn't mincing words, lashing out at the government official allegedly responsible for greenlighting such a move.
We are appealing to the Permanent Secretary, Mr. Colin Higgs, because It appears as if something is happening with the PS's cognitive skills. Construction and productivity can't happen all at the same time.
Eyewitness News saw firsthand what government staffers are struggling with. Men on board scaffolds as they carry out infrastructural upgrades for the building. We also got a view of what appears to be decaying ceilings. Now, Ferguson isn't shying away from the urgency of the renovation project.
We have a very, very leaky roof, and it's now raining in the building. If you were to go inside, you would see the garbage receptacles lined off to catch the waters on the floor. And so we got wet carpet, and it's emanating an odor. And so a lot of people are being impacted by that. And then to compound that, it's enhancing the mold situation here. I advised him to shut down the building until such time as the renovations are complete.
But if the issue persists,
we're going to take some industrial action that's going to be longer than today's action. We need to know what is going to happen for the remainder of the week and the time that would continue while these contractors are in the building.
Labor Minister Pia Glover-Roll also speaking out as she's been forced to allow her workers in the public service who occupy the same complex to take the day off, while she says the weathered building is affecting her personally.
Not conditions the staff should be working under. I am currently on my way to have a meeting with the NIB building manager to look for an alternate location for these two ministries. While it was thought that the renovations could happen while the staff occupy the building, clearly that's not the case. As the Minister of Labor, I will not have employees working in conditions that are not decent working conditions, that are not conditions that are humane, and that are conditions that are absolutely uncomfortable for them.
Meanwhile, officials could not say when the renovation project could be completed. However, there are fears that reported issues experienced in recent weeks could slow down the completion of the project. Jose Etienne, Eyewitness News.
You all, of course, you saw that there, that building. Many people for quite some time now have been complaining about the mold in the building, but that didn't have to get there, did it? Because as far as government buildings go, that one is relatively new. It seems to have just lacked the proper maintenance.
And that is the case, Shanique. I agree with you totally. If they had done portion by portion, section by section maintenance over the years, because like the union leader said, it's rainy. So obvious there needs to be maintenance and roof fixing, and walls look like they're cracking. And what we in this country need to practice, because there are a number of buildings was allowed to just run down and then relocate. And I understand what Minister Pia is saying. There's a relocation, but you have to admire Miss Pia Glover-Roll's calmness throughout this. She has proven to be such a focused and strong leader.
Well, what the public service needs, because I tell you, it's volatile when union presidents are knocking and kicking your door down, saying, deal with this now. Right, yeah.
Yeah, but see, you know, part of the problem is, in my view, is this. These establishments have cabinet ministers who are actually responsible for these locations. Do these cabinet ministers visit these locations? And if they visit these locations, how is it that they see those locations as being acceptable for Bahamians to work and to produce and have the kind of energy and the mindset to produce and to deliver on services to the customers that come there on a frequent basis? It's poor leadership in that regard. In the same vein as I often look at it, I wonder sometimes, up on Carmichael Road, there's parts of that road that has been in a deplorable state for years. And there's a cabinet minister who lives right there on that road. He rides that road every single day, and I can't for the life of me understand how come he hasn't made a call to fix the road.
Which part of Carmichael is
this?
that?
This is Vaughan Miller, right? Up on that street, every day, riding up on that road is deplorable. You have to duck and dodge and hide. And it's the same thing with all these dilapidated buildings that they expect Bahamians to perform and execute their jobs effectively.
Glenroy, you've got to stop, because Vaughan Miller is not in charge of roads.
He's not, but he rides that road. He's a cabinet minister.
He's not the
Use
member of
your
Parliament,
influence.
and he's not the member of Parliament for Carmichael.
Use your influence. He rides the road every day.
So then there are many other
And a part of that road is in his constituency.
Road.
That's the challenge. The part of the road is in his constituency.
Which part of Carmichael you never said?
If you ride from Gladstone Road straight to where Vaughan Miller lives, that road is in deplorable state and it needs to be fixed. I mean, I am a taxpayer. Many people are paying taxes. We are expecting our roads to be in good condition. But in the same fashion, workers in these buildings should not have to go to a place that is leaking and expect to be performing, and they should not have to be out there crying and asking for help to fix something that is so basic.
It is the neglect.
This is how people judge us as a country.
As you said, these issues are years old, and it's a neglect of, you mentioned cabinet ministers, but I dare say even permanent secretaries,
all of it,
who too have been fixtures for years at these various ministries.
All of it.
Keep the building up. That should be part of what your budget is.
It's basic.
I tell you, fully done. Fully. I like that. I stole it from Andrew Holness. I said I have to fully done.
Oh,
I see this green.
Get it.
I see this.
Listen to me, JLP. Peggy, you want to weigh in before we move on?
No, I love how you just squeeze the name.
I don't know where it came from.
The outpost.
I got more names to give.
Yeah, but
they got to do their jobs.
Yes, and that's the message. Do your job, sir. We can't say it was the previous, because you were the member of Parliament consecutive.
It's almost 4 years that road been like that.
Yeah,
almost
and so,
4.
sir, your name is being called. Get the roads fixed.
Tonight, a nation remembers 6 years ago when Hurricane Dorian, a record-breaking Category 5 hurricane, made landfall in Abaco before stalling over Grand Bahama for almost 2 days, becoming the most deadliest storm on record in the country. Near 100 lives were lost and thousands displaced. And so this evening, as we go to this break, we pause in a moment of silence in their memory.
As we continue to develop the orange economy of the Bahamas and empower our artists and artisans, we as a government intend to show tangible support. We are therefore requesting our Bahamian artists and artisans to submit images of their handmade, authentically made Bahamian products and prices as we move to produce a live digital booklet with Bahamian-made works. With the creation of a live booklet, artisans can always submit new works to be included. It is our intent to use this book as a catalog for the purchase of items by all senior government officials for gifts, display items, and the like. Ministers, permanent secretaries, members of parliament, and ambassadors will be supporting our orange economy by the purchase of items and in sharing this book to the wider global creative community. We are committed to grow and expand the orange economy of the Bahamas.
Tired of driving around from place to place just to get your car insured and licensed? Frustrated with the process of being back and forth from your insurance company to road traffic? Well, BMG Insurance Agents and Brokers just made insuring and licensing your motor vehicle as easy as 1, 2, 3. Step 1. Visit us at the Road Traffic Department, Section 1, Thomas A. Robinson Sports Stadium. At our office, you can purchase or renew your insurance or get your vehicle inspected. We at BMG Insurance Agents and Brokers represent major carriers. Step 2. See the professionals at Road Traffic to get your vehicle licensed. Step 3. Enjoy your day. Insure with BMG Insurance Agents and Brokers today, saving you time and money. Your one-stop shop for all of your insurance needs. Great rates, convenient, excellent service. For more information, call us at 322-2221.
Welcome back to Beyond the Headlines. Of course, Peggy outed me, yes, or was it Glenroy? Yes, someone says, is your green tonight a symbol of where you stand in Jamaica? Yes. if I could have stand somewhere. Listen, electricity is back on for most of Fresh Creek, Andros. It's really good news following Sunday's massive fire at the power station there in that area of Andros. Thick black smoke engulfed parts of the building as fire destroyed a trailer and a shed, but firefighters contained the blaze before it reached the main generation facility. The Bahamas Power and Light says power was restored to Bowen Sound by 3 today and Cargill Creek, this is last night, by 10 last evening. So they really worked hard to get things back on stream. Bearing Point also restored ahead of schedule. Minister of Energy and Transport Jobert Colby Davis, MP Leon Lundy, and also BPL CEO Tony Simonet were among a number of persons who went to Central Andros today to look at the damage for themselves. BPL COO Anthony Christie says emergency response teams continue to assess the cause of the fire while working to restore power to the remainder of the island as quickly and safely as possible.
So Shanique, I think
in the meantime, we are bringing in units out of Grand Bahama, some rental units from M&E Limited that should be arriving in Andros at some time this evening. Our teams are coming over as well to do some assessments on the transformers at site to ensure that we can safely restore supply from the Fresh Creek Power Station. There was some damage to our transformer bay, which is why there were some residents that were without power. However, the team worked all day yesterday to restore power up as far as Cargill Creek. So the residents of Bearing Point did sleep off last night, but the team is on the ground again this morning working to improve the voltage conditions because we're supplying the entire island now from the Nicholstown Power Station.
Well, firstly, we'll have our team, our security team, our audit team, in addition to our insurance team. They would send an adjuster who will do an assessment and an investigation to determine the root cause so that we know who needs to be able to be accountable for the damage or in order for us to put in a claim. So those are the initial next steps, and those teams will be mobilizing as we speak to arrive between today and tomorrow. And again, our safety team will also assess in order to make sure that we have enough safety and protection equipment in place for us to go back online with full supply from this power station.
And so, of course, Anthony Christie says response team continue to assess the damage there. But you all, it's good news. It could have been worse. I'm so happy when that news broke. We were like, oh, gee, not another issue with BPL. And in this instance, a fire that obviously could you see the damage. And so obviously you know it, perhaps the whole plant has to be rebuilt. But it's thankful that most, if not all, of those residents are back on tonight.
I must commend the staff of BPL working in Central Andros because they fought the fire themselves and they did all the hard lifting to restore electrical service, which I understand to be in record time. So congratulations, well done to the hardworking staff of BPL at Central Andros.
Yeah, good job on getting it fixed and resolved.
Yes, absolutely. Now we are going to go to this other story. Carlisle let me know exactly where we are when it comes to time. However, the government and the Pinling family are not giving any credibility to allegations made by convicted drug trafficker Carlos Lida, who in a recent aired podcast reignited startling claims against the father of the nation and the country's first Prime Minister, Sir Lyndon Pinling. Lida, a former major player in the once notorious and feared drug cartel, is claiming that he made lump sum payments, some $150,000 monthly, directly to Pinling. The allegations resurfaced days after the nation observed Pinling's 25th year anniversary of his death. Now the allegations bring back to memory a consequential time in Bahamian history when the country was marred by corruption in controversy. At the time, Pinling was under a microscope as United States officials believed he played a role in the funneling of tons of cocaine into the United States, although those allegations were never proven.
The British government had just turned over to the to the African Bahamian population the islands themselves. They became the government. The British left the Bahamas, and the new government was the Prime Minister Lyndon Pinlin. So they were, for the first time in their entire life, they were free, independent islands. And they decide to be more open about tourism. That enticed me. I managed to open up an island in the Bahamas, and I was able to acquire the island. And that's how I was flying in my cocaine into the United States through my private island in the Bahamas.
Well, I'll tell you this, the biggest question coming out of that, in fact, there was an article today in the Tribune, the top story, and people were like, where did this come from? Yes. Why now? I mean, what are your thoughts, Peggy and Glenroy? Because really, around the nation, it resounded, like reverberating off the walls. Where did it come from?
Yeah, the first day of school. Why now? Why the top story? I mean, the Tribune must make sense of this. It didn't make sense when I first saw it. I sucked my teeth. I said, where did this come from? I thought that dude was dead.
You said that was posted in which newspaper?
Tribune.
Isn't the gentleman running for the PLP in the
wanting to aspiring?
No, he's
an aspirant.
Yes.
And his publication is posting such. Interesting.
Yeah, they must be trying to sabotage him. Is all my mind could say. Common sense will say, what you said and that just do not make sense. And besides the political side of it,
somebody must be trying to sabotage him. What do you?
For that story does not align with his desire, and if that's his family paper, it doesn't align with what he wants. Not only that, I was going to say the political side of it. Common sense will ask, why now? Why is that the top story in the Tribune today? And the timing is so off to bring back a part of our history, not a proud part of our history. After we,
I mean, it's over 40 years. You know, it's decades old.
And how come that nigga still living?
Yeah, it's decades old, and people were like, I mean, we've moved beyond this. We've moved beyond that. There's no investigation going on. There's nothing.
Well, you know, obviously they're still linking us to what they believe to be a drug gateway. The challenge is that, as Mr. Pinling would have stated back then, you know, and I agree with the statement that, listen, we don't make the drugs here. We don't, all the drugs. There's an appetite for the drugs up north. And obviously with that appetite, they find ways to filter it through. So I mean, to link the Bahamas as the sole proprietor of the drug flow into the northern country is ridiculous. I mean, and obviously we had a drug challenge in the years past, and there are still some today. We have some former police officers and defense force officers currently on trial for the drug scenario that has transpired. But we are just a gateway for the appetite that exists up north, and unfortunately some Bahamians find themselves on the wrong side of the law, trying to satisfy themselves from a monetary perspective. And unfortunately, some get caught in that. But to talk about something that is over that length of time, I don't think it's necessary, and I don't think it's relevant to what's happening in our current Bahamas.
Yeah, we have fresh stories concerning drugs, like you mentioned, and to go way back then, it really is a suspicious move in my mind towards the Tribune. The purpose, the intent, the motive, what was it?
Interesting.
I thank you all so much. Of course, listen, tomorrow evening we're looking to perhaps go to Jamaica, not physically, not physically.
Massive pool.
We want to electronically go to Jamaica and bring them in on the show, just to get an idea of what's the mood like in Jamaica. I'm sure you've been watching it like so many of us here in the Bahamas. Their election campaign and all the rest of it. You formed your opinions. Well, we hope to just get a general idea of what the mood of the country on the eve of their general election. We'll have that tomorrow evening and so much more for you as well. I want to thank at the top of tonight's show Daniel Thompson, who is president of the union there at the University of the Bahamas. Thank you very much for being here this evening. And of course, my Hot Topics panelists, Peggy Scott and also Glenroy Pratt. Thank you very, very much. And I want to say a big thank you to all of you. Thank you very much for hanging out this evening. I appreciate having you here on behalf of the entire Beyond the Headlines team. I'm Shanique Miller. Make it a great evening, everybody.